Hi, this is Richard, and I want to welcome you back to my channel, Piece by Piece Puzzler. I'm coming to you today with a brand new series that I'm starting, which is called Great Day for a Gradient. It's called that because gradient puzzles have very quickly become some of my favorite puzzles to do. I can tell you that I have an extensive background in gradient puzzles. I've actually only done 2 of them, but they were some of my favorite puzzles to do in the last year, and I really want to share that process with you and also show you some of the variety of gradient puzzles that are out there for puzzlers to do. So the very first gradient puzzle that I ever put together was done about a year ago, and it was this beautiful Cloudberries gradient puzzle, which was 1,000 pieces. It was an absolute joy to do, and the piece quality was really high. Cloudberries is an excellent UK-based puzzle company, and they have a great environmental mission, which is to plant 1 tree for every puzzle sold. So when you purchase a puzzle from them, they're planting a tree basically in your honor. Why not go ahead and try this puzzle company out? They're really wonderful. The piece quality is always great fit to the pieces, and the image is always stunning. They have a great variety of images, so I highly recommend that you check them out. Now this year I did a different gradient puzzle, which is called Jelly Bean, and it's by the company Soonness. It's a relatively new puzzle company, and they started out with a gradient therapy series, which was available on Kickstarter as a special project. And now that the project has launched, the puzzles are available on Amazon and through other outlets, so puzzlers can get their hands on these finally. Soonness also has another series of puzzles which are based on Arctic life, forest life, and marine life, but these gradient puzzles are within this category, so these are going to be the ones that we're discussing. Now, this puzzle was particularly great because it has a gradient within a gradient. The outer edge is really this beautiful lighter colored gradient, and then the interior of the jelly bean is this vibrant gradient in and of itself. So doing the 2 of them together in one puzzle is really particularly satisfying. I absolutely love this one, and I highly recommend it as well. So now on to the current project, which is this puzzle, also by Cloudberries, which is called Waves. Now, I've had my eye on this puzzle for a really long time. I think it just looks absolutely stunning. I love the way that the cascading waves of color are going down the puzzle. I just thought this one would be a great one to do. So about 6 months ago, I bought a couple of Cloudberries puzzles, and this was one of them, and I've had it on my stack to do ever since. So I'm looking forward to doing it as part of this new series and sharing the process with you. I will tell you that gradient puzzles have really become a great part of my puzzle routine, partly because when you're doing a lot of puzzles that have really intricate images and you're getting perhaps a little frustrated or maybe burned out by the process of going through this kind of more orderly and meditative puzzle can be a really restorative one, is what I found. So you get to sort the pieces out by color, and you're methodically putting them together. When you're doing it, you're almost in a trance-like state at times because you're really just trying to notice the subtle gradation of colors as they progress through the puzzle. Now, this one's going to be a little bit different because instead of having the subtle progression between the colors, you'll see that they are somewhat segmented, and you can basically, see the change of the colors through these more solid sections. But even so, it is going to be somewhat obvious where each color goes, and there's going to be a certain method to putting the colors together, and I think that's really going to be very satisfying. Now, I'm going to start sorting this puzzle and putting it together for you, and then at a certain point, I will check into you and discuss the process. So this is going to be the first puzzle in this Great Day for a Gradient series, but I will have some more for you as well. I've got a whole slew of other gradient puzzles that I'm really looking forward to putting together this year, and I really look forward to showing you what they all look like so that you can decide if any of these gradient puzzles are ones that you would enjoy doing. So without further ado, let's get into Waves. So I finished sorting the puzzle and the pieces are laid out in a fairly orderly way at this point. I just want to show you that I figured out that the right-hand side of the puzzle with these darker colors was a lot easier in terms of sussing out exactly which color line the pieces were in. Once I got over to these oranges and yellows, it was a lot trickier, and I think that basically this whole section here is going to have a lot of pieces that are not really in the right spot. So it's going to be pretty difficult to put this puzzle together, maybe a little bit more than I reckoned for, but the ones in the top rows with the darker colors, as you can see, they're fairly similar. It's pretty easy to sort out where the individual colors are. So I think those sections are not going to be too bad. So the sorting took about 90 minutes, and honestly, it got a little bit easier as it went along because I started to notice the patterns in the puzzle in terms of the color progression, and it became a little bit more part of my muscle memory to know exactly where each piece was going to go. So I sort of started to speed up and know exactly which stack each color was going to go to. So tomorrow I'm looking forward to putting together the border of the puzzle, and then from there I'll dive in and actually do the waves puzzle. Hi puzzlers, welcome back to the puzzle studio. It's been about 3 days since I sorted the puzzle, and behind me I've got the pieces all on their trays, and on this side I've got the edge pieces ready to go. So as a next step, I'm going to get working on the edge, and at some point I'll check back in with you before I start on the main part of the puzzle. So I finished putting together the edge of the puzzle, and honestly the top section was pretty easy because the colors are very distinct, but on this bottom corner here, it was very, very difficult because the subtle shades of green are so imperceptibly different. So it was really, really hard to put this section together. It made me remember that this puzzle is probably not going to be as easy as I immediately thought it was going to be. You can probably see I'm really close to finishing the puzzle. I just have this small section left. My phone got close to dying, so I had to take a little break to get some water and let my phone charge, but then I'm going to come back, finish this off, and then that's the end of the puzzle. So it's the following morning and we're back in the puzzle studio. It took me about 3 or 4 hours to finish this puzzle last night. I finished around 11 p.m. I worked for most of the evening on the puzzle, except I took a little bit of a break to have dinner and watch a little bit of TV with my partner and decompress a little bit after the long work day. So I really loved this puzzle. It ended up not being quite as challenging as I thought it would be, because once I got to these sections over here that are a little bit trickier, once you have the pieces laid out side by side and you can really view the subtle differences between them, it becomes a lot easier to figure out where each one goes. And I will say that I think doing this puzzle, as well as doing other gradient puzzles, helps to train my eye for when I'm doing other puzzles that are not gradients or color-related puzzles. Because you really sort of start to train your instincts for where each color goes and for the subtle variations between them. So I had a great time with this puzzle. It was probably, I think, the third or fourth Cloudberries puzzle that I've done, and I've loved every single one of theirs that I've done. The quality is really high. The pieces have this beautiful linen finish to them, and I would highly recommend them. I highly recommend you checking them out. Their other gradient puzzle that's 1,000 pieces is wonderful. They also have the same gradient in 2,000 pieces or 500 pieces. This is also part of their gradient series, but it's not a traditional gradient as we talked about in the intro to this video. But I still highly recommend it. I thought it was a great one to do. And until next time, I wish you all happy puzzling.